It's now time for Me and My Roku with host Peter Clay.
Roku is on Fire TV.
Incidentally, this is Peter.
So we have a voicemail now from Peter.
Pete, you are not.
Not everybody sounds like Peter Clay.
More CEOs named Peter.
Peter Clay is here today.
Holy crap, it's Peter.
I've already forgotten his name.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to another happy-go-lucky, fantastic, gosh by golly, episode of Me and My Roku. I'm your host, Peter Clay. Welcome aboard. This is the show where me talks about what I do with the streaming devices I have, mostly the Roku, and share them with the world. And then you can decide for yourself how you want to watch it, use that information, process it. Does it go through the waste bin, or does it sink in and go, wow, look what that guy does. I can do that. Or are you just entertained by my wonderful, subtle, my vocal chords and all that stuff? Well, I'm glad you're here regardless. Got plenty of things to talk about. Lots of things been going on since our last episode. Some things I want to clear up. Some things that are going on. Some things that are just interesting. And as we keep rolling on through whatever it is that we're going through. But at least we have our Rokus and streaming devices and tablets and phones and stuff like that. And family and loved ones and pets and all that good stuff. It all goes together and congeals into one big happy-go-lucky type of thing. Oh, wow. I am just rambling today, but that's okay. But we got lots to get to, so let's get started.
Come on.
Okay, so before we press forward with things, I'm going to step back just a little bit and kind of rephrase something I said on the last program about the Chromecast Roku negotiations and bringing Peacock to the Roku finally. So in the end, it really doesn't really matter. Peacock is now on Roku and everyone's happy and life is great. And we're just waiting on HBO Max, if ever. But a point that I kind of missed at, and it was kind of essential to the negotiations, and I kind of glossed over it a little bit, and what was really happening. So in the middle of July of this year, Peacock became available to the masses. It was on Comcast as far as their home boxes and stuff that goes. So it came out to everybody except for Roku and Fire TV in mid-July. The Roku contract with Comcast, NBC, Universal was running out at the end of August. So there's a couple things that were going on, and that includes the NBC app and what these apps that we're going to call TV Everywhere apps. Now, you're going to see that phrase out there, and now you kind of know what they are. I don't call them that. I call them authentication apps because you have to authenticate to use them. So you need some sort of a service. Could be your cable provider if you're still on cable. But if you have YouTube TV, Fubo, Sling, those type of things, you would need those logins to access these apps. To get the full record, they have some things that they stream for free with ads and all that stuff. Regardless, you're getting ads, even with the authentication. But that's okay. So that's what the crux of the negotiations were. The contract was running up with Roku and Comcast. And Roku was willing to extend the contract. Just let it go in perpetuity. Why end it? There's no harm, no foul going on here. And apparently, Comcast was saying, no, the contract is up, and we want to renegotiate. Apparently, there's 46 NBC, Comcast, Universal apps. I didn't come up with that many. I came up with about 12. But anyway, apparently, there's a whole bunch. And Comcast was saying, no dice. We're renegotiating right now, and it has to include Peacock. And apparently, it all worked out because we now have Peacock on our Rokus. So it could be that Roku said, we don't want to do this without... Okay, let's step back here. Comcast says, hey, we don't want to do this without Peacock, so we're going to take all of our eggs in our baskets here and go away. And Roku is saying, well, here's the check that you'd be getting if you kept them on. And Comcast said, oh, okay. That's one proposal. It could be the contract was ending out. Why add Peacock now and renegotiate now when you have 6 weeks? You can get a new contract when the other one ends up. That could be too. It could be a lot of things. And like I said, it doesn't matter. We have Peacock and all is right with the world. And we have TV Anywhere, Everywhere apps. So when I was going through the TV Everywhere apps, the authentication apps, I started running in my mind all the different things. Not just NBC, Peacock, and all that stuff. Well, there's ABC, and there's Fox. I know there's CBS All Access. That's a CBS separate service and all that stuff. So do you remember that scene in Star Wars where this aged British actor comes up and approaches Governor Tarkin and goes, yeah, we've analyzed their attack, and there's a danger. Should we plan to evacuate? And Tarkin goes, what? Are you nuts? So anyway, I had this guy kind of come to my ear and kind of go, yeah, do you really need Hulu? If you have all these things here and you're paying extra now for YouTube TV, do you really need Hulu? And I'm like, are you nuts? Of course I need Hulu. It's all in one app. It's all right there for me. And then I started thinking about it again, you don't want to be just like that, and all of a sudden, before you know it, boom. So I did a little research, did a little things. What can I get? What am I getting with Hulu? What am I not? And all that stuff. So here's a little trick. Maybe you know it. It's like, duh, I know this. But sometimes you don't have to cancel things. You can just pause them. So my billing was coming up for Hulu, and I'm trying to decide. It's only $6. But $6 adding up over, a year or so, that's like $80, $100 almost. Anyway, so that adds up. I'm only using YouTube TV for the end of the year when football season ends. So I decided to do a 4-week pause of Hulu and just experiment. Try it out. I can do one of two things. I can do everything within one app within YouTube TV, either through the DVR function or the on-demand services that they have, or the TV Everywhere / authentication apps, and try it that way. See if the ads just drive me nuts, because they sometimes do that. And it can change by your device too. Because if you're on Amazon, Google, Apple TV, or they all have different advertising deals too. So some may be better than others. So just remember pausing, and we're here to experiment. Now you could be yourself. It's like, no, set in my ways. I have my Netflix, I have my Hulu, I have my Amazon Prime, and that's it. And that's fine. There's no right or wrong. But here on Me and My Roku, we try things and explore, and I report. So 4-week pause. It may take me a week just to say, okay, I've tried it. It's enough. But here's another thought on it. Is that sometimes with Hulu, it is hard to find things that you didn't know that they have. They have so much. Is to go through and all that stuff. So, because when I went to the Fox app, then I realized that Cosmos was back. I didn't know that because it wasn't showing up on my Hulu. So unless I heard an advertisement or something like that, I wouldn't know that it was there. So the Fox app helped me out. So different apps will have different programming that'll say, hey, try this too. So that's another thought as well. Remember, this works if you still have cable, so you don't have to pay a rental on a box. Just get a Roku, and you can use your sign-on to get these TV Everywhere apps, or I call them authentication apps, here on Me and My Roku.
Come on, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Well, Roku is just all over the place these days, making news, making headlines, and branching out into different venues. It's kind of exciting. Good time to be part of the Roku family. Roku earlier this year released the soundbar. Nice, big, huge thing, which I have right here in my bar area here. It's fantastic. In a couple weeks, the stream bar will be released. But that's not all. If you don't want an all-in-one type of thing in your Roku and your soundbar, well, Roku is here to help you out and branching out to Hisense and a little company called, Bose. Yeah, those guys. That Roku will now be compatible with those soundbars. So all you got to do is they'll just automatically sync up. So fantastic things there. And if that wasn't enough, how about this for you? Who saw this one coming? Remember in the last show I told you that the Roku channel was going to be available as a standalone app on Android and iOS. Well, is that enough? Do you keep on going? Why not? The Roku channel now available on the Amazon Fire TV. That's right. Fire Sticks, Fire TVs, Echo shows, all that good stuff. I don't know about the Echo show, but yeah, looked on my Fire TV and what do you know? There it is. What does that mean? It's available on a Fire TV. That's what it means. So if you want to watch free ad-supported television on just about any device now, you can do so. It's fine. I looked it up. I noticed that some of the shows did not have as much of availability. Like on my Roku, I could get a full series of one show and only like 3 or 4 seasons on another. I don't know if that's a side issue or anything like that, but I just was curious on that. But it works fine. And I'm sure that's more revenue for Roku, more ads, and a nice camaraderie détente between Roku and Amazon. Isn't that fantastic? If you want to branch out on all those things, you know what. So what does it mean? It means that Roku is essentially an ad company. Now, they have the hardware, obviously. They're coming out with the Stream Bar and the new Ultras and all that stuff. But where they're making their real money, obviously, is from us and how we watch TV and all that stuff and how they can present ads to us. And that should not be a shock. That should not be a time to go, oh, they're spying on me. It's just, no, how can we present the best to you? That's how at least we feel here at Me and My Roku.
Met her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a locket. Whoa!
Okay, kids, gather around. Not that close. Okay? Things are getting a little crazy here in Wisconsin. Breakouts everywhere. So keep your distance here, though. But come a little closer so we can have a little discussion, a little chit-chat about things. Things that are important. Like the bandwidth of this podcast is brought to you by the Internet Archive. I thank them and I love them for everything that they're doing right now. They got a lot on their plate right now with everything that's going on, all that stuff. But hey, it's there for you. The greatest online resource library, anything that you need. Books, movies, TV, recordings, all that good stuff. Please check it out today and consider supporting the Internet Archive today at archive.org. I'd like to be as transparent as I can when it comes to the show and all the things that I do and all that stuff. I like to share. And it doesn't always just have to be about the Roku. It's about everything. Like trying to be in control of everything that's going on. I really appreciate the support that we've been getting these last few months. I don't know if it's pandemic related or what, but the numbers have gone through the roof and all that stuff. Really happy. We're still in the hundreds, but our projections conclude that by the time we reach our second anniversary in May, we could be in the thousands. So keep it up, tell a friend, and all that good stuff. And we are now, the show is available on just about every podcast platform you can think of. And if there's one that, when I give out the list at the end of the show, that you think that we should be on and you're listening to us on, let me know and I can add it to the list. I say this because I use Google Podcasts. And a little issue has been coming up. So far, every show has been on there. So if you're listening to us on there, congrats. You're here. If you are listening to all the other podcasts, platforms, and all that stuff, and we're maybe considering switching, again, it'd be like, I use Netflix, and I use Hulu, and I use Amazon, and that's it. If you're stuck in your podcast platform, that's fine. I'm just saying there's more out there, and I just find the queuing a little easier on Google Podcasts. Still love Apple Podcasts, and I love all the ones on the list. But I've just been having a real good time with Google Podcasts. However, I got an email from Google, and they said, well, we think you should use this feed. And it's an old feed that I had used years ago when I was doing the Radio Affliction. And for some reason, they're holding up my feed and all that stuff until I show proof of ownership and all that stuff. And it's just not, so we're in negotiations. And every time I do something, it gets fixed and then it goes back again and all that stuff. So if you're on Google Podcasts, please be patient or listen to some of the other podcast platforms that are out there. But so I'm no issue with Google and all that stuff because 2/3 of what I do to make this go comes from Google. So I thank them and I love them and all that stuff. But Google sometimes is just Google. And it's just, you got to just kind of wade through it and everything will be all right. Everywhere else is going swimmingly. And I hope that you're enjoying the show and can listen to us there as well. So please subscribe to the show and tell a friend and all that stuff. Get them to subscribe as well. Don't, like twist their arm or anything like that or hurt them or anything like that. Just kindly suggest and all that stuff. And if you're looking for more resources and things to educate yourself, please remember to check out the Internet Archive at archive.org. Okay, time for some news and notes. And in the spirit of fairness and fair and balanced and all that good stuff, Google is coming out with a new Chromecast with a new interface and a remote control. How about them apples? A little more expensive now, instead of $35 now, $49.99, or with a deal, $89.99 with 6 months of Netflix. I guess they don't realize how many people already have Netflix, but hey, it's available to you if you want it. Now, Google is doing a little something, trying to get into the game like everybody else is here, and they're kind of rebranding themselves. So Android TV is giving way to Google TV, so with a new interface and all that stuff with the Chromecast, so you don't have to just shoot something over from a device to another device or anything like that. That does have an interface and the Google search and functions along those lines. So across all the apps that you have. So if you have Netflix, Hulu, all those things at once, the search capabilities will be through all those. So sounds interesting. Good luck. That's all I got to say. It's all good. So, and because our main TV that we have the Roku hooked up to is an Android TV, and it was upgraded from Android 8 to Android 9, and it screwed everything up. Couldn't even Chromecast. So a lot of buffering and everything. It's gotten a little better, but it kind of broke everything. So back to the Roku I go on that, and that's okay. It's all good. Hey, if you had a free 1-year subscription of Apple TV Plus when you got a new Apple device and all that stuff, and it's just about ready to expire, well, hold on to your horses. Your Apple TV Plus is now extended through February 2021. So good on you. Mine's through June yet, so we'll have to see along those lines. Just remember, this is the worst Apple TV Plus is going to be. It keeps getting better. So when it came out almost a year ago to where it is now, it's already better. And just think what it's going to be like a year from now. Just remember when we got our first Rokus, your first Roku XD, and now you have a Roku soundbar or Roku Ultra. It just keeps getting better and better, folks. So hang on there. So now, very rarely do I give a recommendation to watch something or tell you what I'm watching or anything along those lines. But by golly gosh, if you have Apple TV Plus, please watch Ted Lasso. It's just in these times of strife and worry and sorrow and panic and all that stuff, just to have something so saccharinely sweet and all that stuff, but it's so well-meaning. I can't recommend it enough, actually. So it's so good that I actually recommended it on my podcast. There you have it. In the added feature, also on Apple TV Plus, I added PBS Living, because why not? Need a little culture in my life. And don't forget, Apple TV is available on your Roku as well. All for free. So that's the news and notes. So now I better get back to my Roku now. I'm getting a little itchy, a little twitchy. If you need more information or anything, though, check me out on my website at meandmyroku.com. What I'm going to be doing on there is I'm going to be giving you updates about how I'm going to be doing without Hulu for a month and all the different apps that I'll be using and all that stuff. So I'm kind of in a moment of instant regret right now. But we'll give it a shot. So follow me on meandmyroku.com, and I may do a special episode here just to see how I'm doing and all that stuff too. Hey, if you want to know how I get all this programming and it doesn't come out of my pocket, I have a link on this podcast here. Check for it here. It is swagbucks.radioaffliction.com. Click that link and just check it out. It has helped me tremendously, and I can't thank them enough for what they do. And if you click down there right there, all you got to do is just sign up yourself, and you're set to go. And you immediately start helping me in this show out and all that stuff. And so that helps me get these programs and stuff that I can share them with you and all that stuff. Check that out today, swagbucks.radioaffliction.com. Once again, thank you to the Internet Archive, and check them today at archive.org. They provide the bandwidth for this podcast and all the podcasts I've done since 2005. Thank them, and I love them. You can subscribe to this podcast and tell a friend, and subscribe to the Me and My Roku podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, fingers crossed, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Ghana, GeoSavin, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartMedia, Podbean, Pandora, and radio.com. Follow me on Twitter at Radio Affliction, on Instagram at Pierre Argyle. And if you need one-on-one, intimate questions, comments, or anything along those lines, email me at meandmyrokupodcast at gmail.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying your Roku as much as I'm enjoying me and my Roku. And I'll be back with you real soon.